If you're new to river cruising or you're new to Viking, then I'm sure you'll really enjoy this video. It's part 2 of 2 videos which I've created all about the Romantic Danube Itinerary. And in part 1, which I'll link to below, we travelled from Budapest through to Vienna. And in this video, we will continue on to Regensburg via Krems, the Wachau Valley and Passau. At our stop at Krems in Austria, we pay a visit to Gottweig Abbey, which is a Benedictine monastery, before sailing along the beautiful Wachau Valley. Next, we'll make our way into Germany, where we'll stop at the medieval town of Passau with its pastel-coloured houses and St. Stephen's Cathedral. Our voyage ends in Regensburg, which is one of Europe's best preserved medieval cities. So let's start off on day 5, where we are arriving in Krems. We arrived into Krems in the morning, a town in the Wachau Valley known for its wine production. On today's included excursion, we travelled 15 minutes by coach to 900-year-old Gottweig Abbey, which is located on a hilltop. This was the beautiful view from the top of the hill looking down onto the Wachau Valley. Gottweig Abbey is the second largest Benedictine abbey in the valley, after Melk Abbey. After enjoying a private viewing of a short film about monastic life, we had privileged Viking access to view the imperial staircase with its amazing fresco on the ceiling. We then made our way to the church and had a look inside. After our tour, we made our way back to the coach, and then on the journey back to the ship, we admired the beautiful scenery. That afternoon, we sailed down the scenic Wachau Valley, which is about a 25-mile stretch from Krems to Melk, and it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Relaxing on loungers on Gullveig sun deck, we had a prime viewing position to soak in the ever-changing scenery, and Margot, our programme director, pointed out sites of interest on the way, like for example Dürnstein with its famous blue and white church tower. And on the hill in the distance is the ruins of Dürnstein Castle, where Richard the Lionheart was imprisoned. We passed by terraced vineyards, apricot orchards and medieval towns. And here is the Benedictine Abbey at Melk. The next morning we arrived in the centre of Passau and moored up next to another Viking longship. Passau is also known as the City of 3 Rivers. It's where the Danube, Inn and Ilz rivers converge. The city was founded more than 2,000 years ago, and it's one of Bavaria's oldest cities. It's where the German-Austrian border begins. After breakfast, we went on the included Passau walking tour. Our guide gave us a tour around the old town, through the cobblestone streets. And she told us that the buildings have different colours depending on their type. For example, yellow is for beer, red is for butchers, green is for a pharmacy, and blue is for bakeries. We made our way to the Baroque St. Stephen's Cathedral, which has the largest cathedral organ in the world with more than 17,000 pipes. We enjoyed some free time to explore more of the city before returning to the ship. As the other ship, the Viking Bragi, was nearer to the shore, we had to walk through it to get to our ship. And this is quite a common thing to do on the Danube River cruises. So I'm just going to show you here exactly how that works. Here we are walking through the first ship. Their guest services area, an atrium, and then onto our ship across a little bridge. And then you always have to check in and check out with your room card when you are leaving and arriving on the ship. We were really lucky with the weather, and we had lunch outside again on the aquavit terrace. I had salad, my husband had a cheeseburger, and we had chocolate mousse and ice cream. Then we sailed from Passau onto Vilshofen, where we were to meet up with guests who'd been on excursions during the afternoon. You can see how low the bridges are when we go through this one just as we leave Passau. On our way, we sailed through another lock. Here we are leaving Vilshofen after having picked up the guests. The next day, we arrived in Regensburg, and having escaped major damage during World War II, Regensburg is one of Germany's best preserved medieval cities. It's the oldest city along the Danube and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. We learnt from our guide that Regensburg was established by the Romans as a strategically important garrison at the northernmost point of the Danube, and you can see some of the Roman ruins. The old stone bridge, which was constructed in the 12th century, has 16 arches, and it was the first permanent bridge on the Danube. Regensburg is famous for its medieval patrician towers. They were symbols of prosperity and power of their inhabitants. We're now in the oldest part of the town, and this is the Alte Kornmarkt, or Old Corn Market, dating from the 13th century. We then went inside St. Peter's Cathedral, which is widely considered Bavaria's best Gothic architectural work. Sunday Mass was taking place while we were visiting. After the tour, we had free time and we had a further look around the narrow cobbled streets of the city. Our final day, and it was time to fly back to the UK. Here are some of my highlights and special moments from the trip. One of my favourite memories is sitting on the aquavit terrace having lunch in the sunshine. We were really blessed with the weather, and we travelled at the end of October, beginning of November, and we had a bit of an Indian summer. We were so grateful. So of the 7-8 days, we had 3/4 of them with really warm temperatures and sunshine, and we had no rain the whole time. I really enjoyed all the different excursions and learning about each of the countries which we travelled through. We booked ourselves onto all of the complimentary excursions, but then we also booked 2 separately, which we paid for, and one was the concert in Vienna and also the Schönbrunn Palace in Vienna as well, and really enjoyed them. I couldn't believe how knowledgeable the guides were. They had like encyclopedic knowledge. I just have to mention the staff on board, who were just incredible. They were just so friendly and helpful and attentive. Nothing was too much trouble. And one of the highlights was the service we received, which was top class, really was. I love the little touches, like sometimes when we would arrive back on the ship after an excursion, there would be either a canapé or a chocolate or a hot chocolate greeting you as soon as you stepped on board. Also, in our room every night there was a different kind of pyjama art on our bed. With regard to views, my favourite view was from the Fisherman's Bastion, overlooking Budapest on a beautiful sunny day, and yeah, that's something that I will always remember. Another highlight was sailing through the Wachau Valley, sitting on a lounger on the sun deck in the sunshine with a cup of tea. And something which I really didn't expect, and I'm really grateful that we met some really lovely guests, and I really hope that we stay in contact. The food was another highlight. It was absolutely delicious, and I loved the option to try a regional speciality as well as all the classic items on the menu. I loved the ship interiors, how light-filled they were. Our room was really comfortable with a great, powerful shower, heated floor, and a lovely veranda as well. And the interiors or the public areas were really lovely and always so tidy and clean. My husband and I thoroughly enjoyed our trip on the Danube, and I hope you've enjoyed this insight into the Romantic Danube itinerary from Krems to Regensburg. Don't forget there's also part 1 where we travel from Budapest through to Vienna, and I'll link to that below together with the Viking website, and also I'll link to a walkthrough of the ship we sailed on.